வணக்கம். இது பரதி ஊடகத்தின் மதிய நேர பிரதான செய்திகள். கொள்கை வகுப்பாக்கம் மற்றும் ஆட்சி நிர்வாகத்தில் புவிசார் அரசியல் மற்றும் பொருளாதார சவால்கள் என்ற தொனிப்பொருளில் செயலமர்வு ஒன்று கொழும்பில் இடம்பெற்றிருந்தது. இதில் ஐக்கிய மக்கள் சக்தியுடன் இணைந்து தேசிய அறிஞர்கள் பேரவையினால் இது ஏற்பாடு செய்யப்பட்டிருந்தது. எதிர்க்கட்சித் தலைவர் சஜித் பிரேமதாச, பாராளுமன்ற உறுப்பினர் ஏரான் விக்ரமரத்ன, கொழும்பு பல்கலைக்கழகத்தின் முன்னாள் துணைவேந்தர் பேராசிரியர் சாவித்திரி குணசேகர் ஆகியோரும் இந்த கருத்தரங்கில் கலந்து கொண்டார்கள். இலங்கைக்கு பொருத்தமான ஆட்சியின் நிர்வாக முறைமை ஆராய்வதற்காக உன்னதமான சந்தர்ப்பத்தை இந்த தருணத்தில் உருவாக்கியுள்ளதாகவும், நிபுணத்துவம் மற்றும் வலுவான நடைமுறை வேலை திட்டம் கொண்டவர்களுக்கு இதற்கான சந்தர்ப்பம் உருவாக்கியுள்ளதாகவும் சுட்டிக்காட்டியுள்ள எதிர்க்கட்சித் தலைவரான சஜித் பிரேமதாசா, கொள்கை வகுப்பின் அனுபவம் வாய்ந்த குழுக்களை ஈடுபடுத்துவதன் மூலம் எங்களுடைய நாட்டினுடைய சிறந்த தலைவரை முன்னெடுப்பதற்கான முக்கியத்துவத்தையும் சுட்டிக்காட்டியிருந்தார். சமூக, பொருளாதார, அரசியல், மதம் மற்றும் இனம் ஊடாக உறவுகளை வளர்த்தல் என்பது நாட்டு மக்களுக்கிடையே ஆட்சியின் மீது நம்பிக்கையை கட்டி வழிவகுக்கும் எனவும் சஜித் பிரேமதாசா மேலும் தெரிவித்திருந்தார். அது மட்டுமல்லாமல் நாட்டில் நடக்கும் பல்வேறு பிரச்சனைகள் தொடர்பான விடயங்களையும், நாட்டில் நடக்கும் அரசியல் ரீதியான பிளவுபாடுகள் போன்றவற்றையும் இதில் தெரிவித்திருந்தமை குறிப்பிடத்தக்கதாகும். அவர் தெரிவித்துள்ள கருத்துக்கள் காணொலி வடிவில்.
Of brainstorming, exchanging ideas and proposals with regard to an establishment of a governance structure that would add value to our country and our nation state. In that regard, we believe and we accept that successful governance is an essential prerequisite to establishing a prosperous country. We can basically identify 10 elements, ingredients of successful governance. Successful governance inevitably entails the presence of a clear vision and a set of people-based, country-based national priorities. There needs to be a clear and defined vision for the country's present and the future. And a proper set of priorities have to be formulated, which would align itself with long-term economic recovery, empowerment in all its facets, well-being of the citizens, and the security of the nation state. Second, it is imperative that we have a crisis management strategy that would be able to map out the various crisis scenarios, the ability to identify the solutions and the challenges in trying to extricate oneself from these various crises. We should be able to objectively assess the various crises that the country faces. It could be multifaceted, as it is right now in Sri Lanka. Economic, health, education, environment, social sphere, in the political sphere, as far as the topic of democracy is concerned. We should be able to have a deep understanding of the root causes of these crises and the ability to provide adequate policy resultants that would ameliorate the damaging impact of such crises. So we have to be crisis resilient and prepared. Develop the country's strategies to be resilient in times of crisis, and try to ensure in achieving the relevant policy goals and objectives that we adhere to the standards of excellence. Third, we need to have evidence-based policies. Policymakers and decision makers need to comprehend the policy cycle in an adequate manner. At all major points of policy making, policy initiation and formulation, policy implementation, monitoring, evaluation, and feedback, which is very much lacking in our country. This policy cycle has to be the major guiding principle of all the decision makers and policy makers. Evidence-based policies backed up by verified scientific data. The necessity to use cost-benefit analysis in deciding on policy options. The necessity to negate ill-thought-out policies, which we have had in recent times. Policies that have been primarily ad hoc, policies that have been basic knee-jerk reactions to emerging challenges. Fourth, the governance structure should have experts, specialists, generalists. We need to have a team of people, personnel, with high acumen and higher achievement. It is important to have a team of experts, advisors, policymakers with diverse backgrounds and experiences to help formulate effective and successful policy resultants. The leadership has to be surrounded by the cream of society, the best and the brightest, who can, through their policy inputs and their participation in the policy implementation process, at the highest value possible to all the policy resultants. Fifth, there needs to be greater prioritization of transparency and accountability. The governance process has to exhibit the highest standards in transparency and accountability in the system of governance. This will enable a country such as ours, which is ridden by multiple crises, to ensure that scarce, limited resources are well utilized to achieve the ultimate national goals and ends. Sixth, we need to emphasize, illustrate, and prioritize inclusivity. We should promote inclusivity at the expense of exclusivity. Inclusivity in a variety of arenas: social, economic, political, ethnic, religious. Because inclusiveness will provide our country with an order, a governance system that has credibility, acceptance, and legitimacy amongst people of all walks of life. Seventh, resource allocation and budgeting at a time of bankruptcy and crisis has to be strategic, surgical, and implemented in a manner which promotes fiscal stability, fiscal responsibility, and the achievement of policy resultants that are to the benefit of the country. Seventh, international cooperation and progressive external relations. It is very important that we conduct our foreign policy and external relations in a manner that achieves much for the benefit of the country. We need to align ourselves with countries that add value, not merely in the economic and social arena, but countries and nation states that uphold the highest standards of ethics and morality. We heard from the previous speakers of the necessity to prioritize multilateralism in an international society with multiple power centers. Gone are the days of the bipolar world. We are living in a multipolar world with multiple power centers. Sri Lanka should possess the capacity, the capability to utilize and exploit our relationships, which would accrue to us maximum benefits to ensure that Sri Lanka extricates itself from this tremendous quagmire, the labyrinth in which all of us are lost at this particular juncture. Ninth, the necessity to promote meritocracy. Promote meritocracy at the expense of aristocracy, family bandism, favoritism through personal, private, and other relationships. We need to ensure that the rights of our people are upheld, protected, and enhanced. Those tasks must be achieved through personnel who achieve the highest standards of excellence. Meritocracy must be made relevant and must be made part and parcel of the order of governance that we all should develop. 10th and last, participatory government. The necessity to set up structures, institutions, models that enables people to participate in the decision-making processes. We must not forget the fact that when we talk of sovereignty, people's sovereignty is supreme and sacrosanct. It is a people's sovereign right that has to be exercised by those who represent them. The representatives carry out the temporary trusteeship as the intermediate guardian of the voice of the voiceless, of the voice of the 22 million of people in our country. Exchange of ideas, communication, the necessity to inculcate citizenry inputs into the policy decision-making process is of great importance in order to ensure that our policy-making processes abide by the highest standards in promoting good, sound, fair, efficient, and efficacious government. Let me conclude with a Churchillian statement. The distinguished Prime Minister Winston Churchill once stated as follows: "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." My friends, fellow Sri Lankans, let us garner and mobilize all the strength that we have. Hard work, dedication, in order to ensure that our motherland, which is facing a Herculean task at this very juncture to overcome many challenges, if we unite as a country, representing multiplicities of ethnic, religious, and other permutations, if we can unite ourselves and let unity be the source of our strength, use our national strength to achieve the difficult tasks and objectives that lie ahead. I thank you.